It started with a creak. Elon had opened the door to check if X was still asleep. But what he saw caught his breath completely. There it was. A hardcover Bible. Its cover faded, edges worn, like it had been read often. Not decoration. Not for show. This was loved. Elon reached for it slowly. The weight felt familiar and foreign. He remembered holding one in childhood, but this felt heavier, emotionally, not physically. He flipped the pages. No bookmarks. No highlights. Just a note in crayon on the first page. For X, from Grandma. Trust in him. Elon sat down on the bed. The silence in the room seemed louder than the engines of a Falcon 9 launch. Something deep stirred. This wasn't just a book. It was a message. From his mother, through his son, to him. A thread of faith quietly pulling him back. X had never mentioned it. Never asked about God or church. And yet, this book sat here like it had always belonged. A tear rolled down Elon's cheek. He wiped it away quickly, almost embarrassed by his own reaction. Logic failed to explain what he felt. He looked out the window. The sky looked different. Not vast and empty, but vast and waiting. Like someone was listening. Like someone had placed that book. That morning, Elon Musk didn't go to a board meeting. He stayed in that room, Bible in hand, staring at the words he'd once forgotten. Before we continue, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Elon picked up the Bible slowly. He hadn't held one since childhood. The leather felt soft, worn, as if someone had been reading it daily. It was open to the book of John. A small, uneven tear marked the top of the page, like a child's hand had turned it too quickly. Next to the Bible was a crayon drawing. It showed a cross, a star, and a little boy holding hands with someone in glowing white. Elon sat on the edge of the bed. His son wasn't home yet. But this quiet discovery echoed louder than any of the boy's words ever had. Something tugged at him. It wasn't logic. It wasn't science. It was the stillness. The way the room seemed to hold its breath. He found a bookmark tucked inside. It wasn't a store-bought one. It was a wrapper, probably from a granola bar, folded carefully and slid between verses. One verse was circled in pencil. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Elon read it out loud. Then again, he leaned back, looking up at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "Why now? Why him?" But he knew the question wasn't about his son. A chill ran through him. Not fear, not discomfort, but like someone had just walked through the room without a sound. Elon placed the Bible back where he found it. But this time, he wasn't just a father confused. He was a man being called. That night, Elon couldn't sleep. Not because of stress, but because every time he closed his eyes, he saw that drawing, his son and the glowing man. He replayed moments in his head. The bedtime questions, the quiet stares at the sky, the sudden silence before his son would say something unexpected. Elon walked back into the room around midnight. The light was still on. Had he forgotten to turn it off? Or had it been turned back on? The Bible hadn't moved, but it felt like it was waiting for him, like it had more to say. He opened it again. This time, the verse that stood out was highlighted faintly in yellow. He hadn't noticed it before. "Be still and know that I am God." Elon whispered the words, slowly, as if tasting them. Be still. In his world, stillness wasn't progress. But maybe progress wasn't everything. He sat cross-legged on the floor like a boy again, the Bible resting in his lap, eyes wide with something he hadn't felt in years. Wonder. "Did you find this on your own, X?" He whispered, knowing no one would answer. But maybe someone already had. The question wasn't about belief. Not yet. It was about why this child, his child, had reached for something Elon himself had long abandoned. He turned off the light, but the room still felt lit. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was waiting, and Elon was listening. The next morning, X walked in rubbing his eyes. Elon was already sitting on the bed, waiting, holding the crayon drawing in his hand. "Did you draw this?" Elon asked gently. The boy nodded, then sat beside him. Who is this? Elon pointed at the glowing man. X shrugged. He said he's the light, and the light knows me. Elon blinked. The words didn't sound rehearsed, just remembered. You mean, like from a dream? Elon asked. X shook his head. No, it was real. I just closed my eyes and he was there. Elon wanted to challenge it, ask deeper, but he didn't, because in that moment, he realized his son wasn't trying to explain, he was just telling the truth. Did he say anything else? X smiled faintly. He said to tell you not to be afraid of being still. The exact words from the verse the night before. Elon's heart skipped. This wasn't just coincidence. Or if it was a loud one. Where did you get the Bible? Elon asked. X shrugged. It was just there. No memory of buying it. No one gave it. It just appeared. Elon exhaled. Deep. Slow. Not out of fear, but reverence. The kind you feel when something beyond you is suddenly closer than ever. Okay, Elon whispered. I'll listen. It wasn't a declaration of faith, but it was the beginning of one. That evening, after X went to bed, Elon didn't turn on the news or check emails. He just sat, Bible in hand, fire flickering. He wasn't reading it like a manual or like a critic. He was reading it like someone searching for something he hadn't admitted yet. Page after page, his thoughts wandered back to childhood, to Sunday school, to questions that never got answers. Or maybe he never waited for them. He remembered asking his mother once if God was real. She told him, he's real if you listen hard enough. Elon never did. Until now. There was a knock on the door. No one was expected. No one was due. But there it was, 3 taps. Slow. Measured. Firm. He opened the door and saw no one. Just the night. Just the wind. And something on the doorstep. Another Bible. Different. Older. Familiar. Inside it was a name. His grandfather's. Elon hadn't seen it since childhood. Where had it been? Who left it? No answers. Just presence. He brought it in, opened it to a random page. Psalm 46. Again, be still and know. His spine tingled. This wasn't random anymore. Elon sat down. 2 Bibles now on the table. 2 voices calling. 1 boy believing. And 1 man finally beginning to ask the question. Who are you? He whispered. And this time, he wasn't asking his son. Elon opened the Bible and a note fell out. Not typed, not printed, but written in his son's shaky letters. For Daddy, from Jesus. He held it like it was glass. Something in him cracked wide open. This wasn't just a book. It felt alive. It had been tucked under the pillow in X's room. Elon hadn't seen it before. It was old, but the message felt new. The sticky note wasn't stuck anymore. It gently slid down to the floor. Elon bent to pick it up and read it again. Jesus loves you even when you don't know it. That's what it said. 5-year-old spelling. But somehow, perfect. Elon sat down on the floor, Bible in lap. The house was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. He thought back to his own childhood, a time when hope felt real, not engineered. This book had power, he thought. His fingers trembled as he turned the pages. Marked. Highlighted. Verses underlined by a tiny hand. 1 verse had a sticker beside it. John 14 verse 6. Elon read it aloud. The words didn't just echo, they struck. For the first time in decades, Elon felt like he wasn't holding a book. He was being held by it. Elon stared at the contact name on his phone. Pastor John, Mom's church. He hadn't spoken to the man in years. Maybe decades. But today, he couldn't ignore the weight in his chest. The call rang twice. Then a voice answered. Calm. Familiar. Elon. I found something in my son's room. It's... Elon paused, voice shaky. It's a Bible. The pastor didn't laugh. Didn't preach. Just listened. And I think he's talking to Jesus. And I don't know how to process that. The pastor breathed in slowly. Elon, sometimes God uses children to lead grown men back home. That line hit like thunder. Elon closed his eyes. Maybe this wasn't random. Maybe it was appointment. They talked for an hour. About science, about faith, about the bridge between them. By the end, Elon wasn't convinced. But he was curious. Deeply, restlessly, curiously drawn. That night, Elon fell asleep with the Bible on his chest. He hadn't meant to. He just couldn't put it down. The dream was strange, vivid. He stood in a desert, alone, until a child appeared. Not X, someone else. The child walked toward him and handed him a stone with words engraved. Truth waits. Elon asked, "What does it mean?" The child smiled. "You already know. You're just afraid it's real." Then, the ground shook and a light shone from the sky. Not sunlight. It was softer, warmer, endless. In the light, he saw faces. People he had known. People long gone. Some crying. Some singing. Then he saw X standing with outstretched arms. "Daddy, wake up." Elon awoke with tears running down his face. The Bible had fallen open to a page with the words, "Fear not." He didn't fully understand what had happened, but something inside had shifted, moved, begun. The morning sun hadn't fully risen when X asked the question, "Daddy, why don't you pray?" Elon paused, spoon midair. The room seemed quieter than normal. "Because I don't know how," he finally said. X smiled. "You don't have to know. You just talk. Like we're talking now." Elon looked at him, stunned. How could something so big sound so simple? "But what if I don't believe?" Elon whispered. "Then start with that," X said. "Jesus listens anyway." It wasn't a theological argument. It wasn't even a debate. It was an invitation. Elon looked down at his hands, trembling. For the first time in a long time, he wanted to accept. That morning, father and son sat in silence. Then, softly, Elon whispered, "Jesus, if you're there, help me see." Days passed. The house remained busy, but something inside Elon slowed down. One night, after putting X to bed, he stood by the window and looked up. The stars didn't speak, but the silence felt louder than noise. Elon whispered again, "Jesus, if you hear me, say something." Nothing. Then everything. A memory surfaced. His mother reading a Bible verse to him when he was 6. "I will never leave you nor forsake you." He had forgotten that moment, or buried it, but now it returned with full color. He didn't hear a voice, but he felt one, a warmth, a knowing. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with awe. Could this be real? That night, Elon didn't find answers. He found something better, the beginning of belief. Elon returned home late, exhausted from meetings, unaware that a yellow sticky note inside his son's Bible would change everything he believed about faith. The note wasn't addressed to him. It simply said, "Light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." It was X who had scribbled it, in crayon, with childlike conviction. Elon froze, staring at it as if it was burning into his soul. He sat on the edge of X's bed, holding the note, his hands trembling. How did a child understand something so profound? Elon hadn't opened a Bible in decades. But that night, alone in a quiet house, he flipped through its pages like a man. Starving, his eyes landed on Psalm 27 verse 1. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Elon whispered it out loud. There were no cameras, no journalists. Just a father, a note, and the echo of a God he never truly knew. He placed the note on his chest and lay back, letting the weight of those words settle like an anchor in the storm. Sleep didn't come easy. Dreams were heavy. But when morning broke, Elon rose with eyes slightly softer than the night before. He didn't speak of it to anyone, but he began writing his own notes. And everyone started with, "Dear Light." Elon didn't expect the faith question. The script said tech, Mars, and family. But then the host leaned in and asked, "Do you believe in God?" The crowd fell silent. Elon paused, glancing to the side where X was sitting with his feet dangling, staring at him intently. He could have brushed it off, made a joke, or pivoted. But something in his son's gaze held him accountable. "I think I'm beginning to," he said. Just that. No defense. No overthinking. Just the beginning of something real. The host blinked. The audience held their breath. It wasn't the answer they expected from a man who built rockets. What changed? The host asked. Elon smiled and said, "My son prays. And he listens." Twitter exploded. Headlines ran wild. But Elon didn't care. That night he received one message that made him cry. It was from a former NASA colleague. "Thanks for saying that. I thought I was alone." Elon screenshotted it. Saved it. Because even astronauts needed to feel a little less alone. And for the first time, he realized his voice could launch more than ships. It could launch hope. It arrived without warning. No PR heads up. No public announcement. Just a letter with calm ink and centuries of reverence behind it. The Imam from Istanbul wrote with grace, "I watched the interview, and I prayed for your heart." Elon read it alone in his office. Once, twice, then again, tracing every word like it carried weight beyond the page. Faith is not the enemy of science. It said, faith is the origin of every question worth asking. Elon didn't know how to respond. Not yet, but he folded the letter gently and placed it beside his laptop. The next day, X asked, "What does an imam do?" Elon smiled. "They guide, like lighthouses on hard seas." That night, they watched stars together. Elon whispered, "Even stars obey rules." X replied, "So does love." The letter stayed on Elon's desk for weeks. A silent invitation. A wait. A possibility. Finally, he wrote back. 2 words only. "Thank you." But in his heart, it said more. "I see you. I hear you." And maybe, just maybe, I believe that he didn't expect her call. Not after what X had said. Not after the moment went viral. She wasn't angry. She was curious. "Your son said he prayed for me. That I'd find peace." "What?" Elon chuckled. "You'll have to ask him." But X was already on the line, waving and saying, "Because you sing like heaven, but look sad." Silence. Then a laugh. Then a long pause. Taylor replied, "He's not wrong." They talked for nearly an hour. Not about albums. Not about concerts. But about broken hearts and why faith still matters. She asked Elon, "Do you believe all this?" He answered, "I'm trying to." She said, "Trying is better than pretending." When the call ended, X said, "She's gonna smile more now." Elon didn't disagree. The next morning, Taylor posted a song snippet. Faith like a child. Hope like a star. And millions listened, not just with ears, but with hearts open. Again, no cameras. No assistants. No announcements. Elon slipped into the back of the church like a man searching for something he'd forgotten. It was X's idea. "Can we go see the place where people sing to Jesus?" The chapel was old, quiet, and smelled of wood and candles. It felt like stepping into a memory Elon never lived. A hymn was playing softly. "Come thou fount of every blessing." Elon had never heard it, but it gripped him. X sat still for once, eyes closed, lips moving silently. Elon stared. This wasn't mimicry. This was reverence. After service, an old woman approached him. "You have questions, child? Don't be afraid of them." He nodded. Not as Elon Musk, the mogul, but as a man who didn't want to run anymore. Outside, X picked a flower and handed it to his father. "For your heart," he said. Elon took it and held it all the way home. And for the first time, the silence inside him felt like peace, not emptiness. Elon's hands trembled as he opened the Bible. The pages were worn, corners bent. This wasn't just any copy. It was his mother's. He hadn't touched it in decades. But seeing it in X's room, untouched by dust, marked, highlighted, it stirred something ancient in him. A photo fell out from between Psalms and Proverbs. Elon picked it up. It was him as a boy, kneeling in Sunday school. Forgotten, yet real. He sat down. The silence wasn't cold anymore. It wrapped around him like a forgotten friend. He whispered, "Why now?" as tears wet his palms. X didn't explain where he got it. He just smiled and said, "I thought. You might need it, Daddy." No explanation. Just presence. Elon flipped to Matthew. The red letters. Jesus' words pierced deeper than any podcast, debate, or AI code ever could. They weren't ideas. They were a call. He remembered his mother praying once. Quietly, not for show. In the kitchen, over soup, for her son's soul. He remembered brushing it off. Now he wished he hadn't. Every word she spoke back then echoed. Now, not guilt, not shame, just a whisper. Come home. That night, he stayed up rereading John. He didn't understand it all, but he felt something move. Not in his mind, in his chest. Morning came. He hadn't slept. X peeked in, saw the Bible. Open, saw Elon's eyes still wet. I knew you'd find it again, X said. The next morning, Elon and X walked without speaking. Just two figures in the fog. One holding faith, the other carrying legacy. Do you believe now, Daddy? X asked. Elon didn't answer. Not yet. But something inside him had changed. Doubt wasn't king anymore. They sat under a tree. X whispered a prayer. Elon listened. It wasn't fancy or long, just honest. And it shook Elon more than sermons. Why do you pray, X? Elon asked. Because someone's listening, X said. That answer, so childlike, so complete, it undid him. He thought about AI, machines, the universe, everything he tried to master, and how powerless he felt next to his son's quiet faith. They sat for hours, not speaking, just watching the wind play with leaves. No technology, no noise, just soul to soul. Elon reached into his pocket, pulled out the Bible again, opened to a page X had bookmarked. Isaiah 55, my ways are higher. It felt like a message, a reply, not from a cloud server, from something bigger, deeper, wiser. Elon's walls kept crumbling. By the time they walked back, Elon didn't have all the answers. But he had a question. What if this is true? And for Elon Musk, the man who questioned everything, that question was a bigger leap than any rocket he'd ever launched. That night, X played an old clip for him. Elon on stage, laughing off questions about faith. It echoed like a ghost. He saw his own smirk, his shrugs, the sarcasm. It used to be armor. Now it felt like avoidance. X looked up. Did you mean it? Elon paused. At the time, yes. But people change. He turned off the screen, looked at his reflection in the black glass. What do I stand for now? He asked himself. Elon had stood for innovation, for progress, for Mars. But none of it comforted him when he watched X sleep. That night, he did something he hadn't done in years. He got on his knees. Not for show, just to see if God was there. He whispered, I don't know how to do this. But if you're real, I'm listening. The silence wasn't empty. It was sacred. No flash of light. No voice from heaven. Just a quiet peace. A weight lifted. Elon cried like a boy who'd come home. He didn't post about it. Didn't announce it. He just sat still. And for once, being still didn't scare him. That night, X walked in, hugged him tight, and whispered, now you know. Elon didn't ask what he meant. He already knew. Days passed. Elon kept reading. Quietly. Slowly. A few verses each morning. A few more at night. It felt like discovering oxygen. One Sunday, X asked if they could go to church. Elon hesitated, then nodded. Let's go, he said. It wasn't for show. They walked into a small chapel. No cameras. No headlines. Just songs and scriptures. And tears Elon didn't expect. An elderly man stood beside him. Whispered, I never thought I'd see you here. Elon smiled. Neither did I. During the sermon, X took Elon's hand. Tight. Silent. Present. It felt like faith passed down through generations in a single grip. They didn't stay long, but long enough for Elon to feel it wasn't about religion. It was about return. Driving. Home. Elon didn't speak. Just stared out the window. The world looked different. Brighter. Not changed, but seen. That night, he wrote in a notebook. Maybe this is the most human thing I've ever done. Then closed it. No tweets. Just truth. Faith didn't come like lightning. It came like rain. Quiet. Constant. And it soaked him without asking for permission. He told X, You're braver than me. X replied, I just listened. Elon smiled. So am I now. The sun set behind them. City lights blinked awake. Elon and X sat on a bench, the Bible between them like a bridge. Do you think I'm different now? Elon asked. X nodded. You're lighter. Elon laughed softly. Feels like it. He used to measure value in innovation. Now he was learning to measure in moments, like this one. I don't have all the answers, Elon said. Me neither, X replied. But we have the right questions. The city buzzed around them, but they weren't part of it, not tonight. They were somewhere else, somewhere timeless. Faith hadn't changed Elon's past, but it was rewriting his present. And that was enough. He looked at X, then the Bible, then the sky. Thank you, he whispered. Not to X, but beyond him. X leaned on his shoulder. You'll never be alone again, he said. Elon didn't cry this time. He just breathed. Deep. They sat until stars took over the sky. Just a father, a son, and the quiet sound of grace. Elon didn't post. Didn't record. He just lived. And in that stillness, something eternal took root. What did you think of Elon Musk's emotional journey with faith sparked by his son? How has this story touched your heart? And where are you watching this video from? We'd love to hear your thoughts and location in the comments below. Please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and sharing it with others to spread the inspiration. Thank you.